back. Hey, folks, welcome back to the studio above the clouds. We're going to take a look at some stuff that you can't even see just yet that came out of the kiln. You have seen it, though. You saw it while I was glazing it if you watched the videos. So I'm going to lower you down just a little bit so that you can take a look at it. We're going to talk a little bit of the pieces, what I do different on them, and what each one means. Remember that some of these were rescue pieces. The dragon's neck is still together. You can see the crack, but he's still together. Here we go. Here we go. We're going down. We're going down. I'm going to get you so you can see the pieces here, not me. There we go. All right. So now you can see there we go. We're much better now. You can see the pieces. That's what you want to see. And I got a spot on my shirt. There we go. All right. So now let's take a look at what we've got. You see all the different pieces that were fired. I'm just going to start over to my left and work my way over. And you actually can't see the first one, which happens to be the mini monster. Pretty happy with the way that guy turned out. You can see he's got a nice shine on him. The biggest thing is that the one horn did fall off. I forgot to put extra glaze around it this time because it couldn't just be at the bisque fire. I needed to do it again. It needed to have extra glaze around it, and I just didn't. I totally blanked. Didn't do any more. He's now got a horn on his toe. Forevermore. I might be able to hammer it off. I don't think I'm gonna. And that was total user error on my part. But, other than that, he's not a bad looking dude. I like the way the colors turned out. And that was part of this, although this guy was all underglaze. And so these underglazes I'd used before, but some of these, like for instance, this one, I'd never used this glaze before. And so that was a huge part of this, was just to understand what this glaze even did before anybody else uses it. But these underglazes I'd used before, for the most part anyway, but I'm happy with how they turned out. The black I used for the eyes didn't run. That was something I was really worried about. The whites stayed in place really well. So everything stayed in place really nicely. You can see the crack that I highlighted on the back stayed there. And it's it's pretty well solidified. I can get my fingernail in a little part of it. And then that's my stamp with my name on it. And that crack's not a real crack. That's his little butt crack that I put there. So that's the mini monster. Pretty cute. Turned out pretty happy with him, other than, total user error. That was my fault. I forgot about that part. But as a rescue, not too shabby considering he had some broken pieces going in. And speaking of rescues, the other rescue here, and that was the story on a few of these things. This old broke neck, you see, you can see the broke neck, but you put a little ribbon around it, and that would be covered up pretty nicely. Now, I wasn't real happy. If you watched me doing this, I had problems with this whole glaze situation up here was a real issue. Let it dry, or thought I did. Obviously, didn't let it dry long enough. Again, probably a rush user error, and it got real spotty when I tried to put the clear glaze on top. And I'm sure it was a user error. It was me not being patient enough. I'm sure that's what that was. And so it's real inconsistent, real spotty, and some of it came off, and it looks a little funky. Somehow it kind of works with the style of this though, because it all kind of looks like a kid drew it. So somehow it all works. Somehow it all works there. But it did hold together, and baby, that's not going anywhere now, because it is held. So yeah, my little dragon bowl, very spotty. This was a glaze I had never used before, so this was new. learned some things about it, like how many coats have to go on. So now I know it must be 3 coats. This is going to have to be 3 coats, period, full stop. And then the same on the inside, period, full stop, must be 3 coats of this glaze. Do not try to get to short, although, man, I love that color. But both of these were glazes I hadn't used before. And so that was learning a little bit about what they were going to do. And I'm pleased with the color. I just needed to know. Now I know what they're going to do. Um, Same with this glaze on this cup, which I do like. The handle's in a horrible place. So this is a cup that's been on the shelf forever and ever and ever that had never been glazed. And so I decided to whip it out to do this glaze test on. But this cup has the same glaze that this cup does. But of course, they're two different glaze bodies. So, or glaze bodies. Oh my gosh. Woo. Clay bodies. And so it's nice to see what the two, how the glazes are going to come out different with those two different clay bodies. And of course, learn immediately. You cannot, it may say on the container that if you're dipping, only do 1 dip, but do 2 to 3. Do it. Because that was 1 dip was not enough. And it didn't want to hold on real well in a lot of places. It was like I had wax resist on, but I didn't have wax resist on. And I've been reading some hints and tricks to help clay take. One of the things was to help clay take glaze. And what it was counterintuitively was to really quickly dunk it in water beforehand, for particularly if it has lots of nooks and crannies for capillary action. Was reading that on a pottery site earlier today. So I don't know, always looking, learning, checking stuff out. But I like what this does. This is a really cool color. It just needed another dunk. It needed another, probably 2 dunks. But I like it a lot. So we'll definitely use that jade. Um, and then I like what it did on this cup as well. I think that's really nice. But again, just not enough. It just wasn't enough. It needed another solid dunk. And then that's the pomegranate that I'd never used before. And it just needed more. It just needed more for a good, consistent coat. But what a great color. So that was, again, a good learn. Just needed another 2 coats. It needed another 2. To be a really good, and it needs a good even coat of it, but a good learn for that. And those two look really nice together. What a nice combo. If they were really sharp, if they had a good application, these two would be really good together. So, that was a good learning experience and a nice combo. This is another one that was new to me called Tangerine, and just another one where it just needed more. It needed, I think, 2 more coats, frankly. I think it needed to be dunked 2 more times. And then the same with the blue that I got on the inside. I love the way the blue covered, though. I think it's got a more consistent cover than some of the other, like, than this blue does. It's just got a really nice, and, when you think about giving it another layer, so that one's one I'll be really pleased to use on some more things. And then this tangerine is the same. I think once it's layered again, that's a really nice color, and those are good together. And then I even think about it, there are some really cool combos there. So I like those. And I'm pleased with the way they came out. It did just have some application problems. Like, there was no wax resist in any of those locations, but for some reason It just wouldn't apply. And then this is the exact same tangerine, just on terracotta. Definitely needed, as you can see, two more solid dunks. But this is the tangerine on the terracotta. And then on the inside is the pomegranate. And you can see the big, big, big difference. And this just really was just a poor application, and it needed more coats. And terracotta is really forgiving. That's one of the other reasons I like terracotta so much. So forgiving, because I did the same. I'm sure the same poor application on this. You just can't tell because it's so forgiving. But that's that same pomegranate on there. And again, that's just another cup that was made, I mean, forever ago. That's just been sitting on a shelf. This one is another one that I tested the blue on, and I like the way it runs. Um, I like that travel real well on it. That was a really nice effect. And I did do a double dunk on this, and you can kind of see that difference. It's really nice. That's a good color. And then the inside is a good old standby. I had used this before. This is oatmeal. And it's just a nice old, just consistent, beautiful color. I don't know if you guys can hear Phoenix the cat meowing. She wanted to come in and now she wants to go out. Isn't that cat like? But that's oatmeal, which is just, this is the only one of these types that I used that I knew what it would do, and I just like oatmeal. It's just consistent and lovely. Um, let's see. This is just another one I used to. Real poor application on my part on this, but it's a really nice blue, but really, really shoddy application on my part. And what it comes to is it needed two more layers. It looked really thick, but I just need to follow my gut because I knew it needed more. And same on the outside. I knew it needed more. And see where there's some real thin places there. I knew it. I knew it did. But I don't prefer. I think I said that in one of the other videos. I do not prefer the application uh, of glaze, and so I can get a little lazy with the glazy, and I think I did that here. This one I'm actually more pleased with than I probably should be because the glaze application is stodgy. I know that's not how you talk about glaze, but I've always wanted to say stodgy since the great British Bake Off. Uh, but it's very inconsistent, but it makes this look like blue jeans, and I love that because it makes it looks like a pair of blue jeans, which is kind of what I wanted from it. And so I don't mind the inconsistent blue on it. It actually worked out great, but usually this kind of glaze might not be ideal. But on this particular piece, I'm kind of thrilled with it because it makes it look like a pair of blue jeans, like a folded up little pair of back blue jeans, and that's kind of what I wanted from it. So, woo! And then the outside of it, I just put gloss on, just so you can get the speckled clay, which is also just nice. I like this piece a lot. I was actually quite pleased with this. I was pretty happy with the way this one turned out for a hanging out in the shelf piece. This was kind of cool. And then I saved the two that I wanted to show you. Save the best for last, as they say. Save the best for last. So there's the cauldron, the one that just totally broke. So let's pull it over here. So the one that just totally broke. Look at it. Look at old total broken. Look at old total broken. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And even the bottom's decorated. The total broken out spots, like part of the, look at that. It's all glossy now. And the little piece of the that's not going anywhere. Broken bone. Bring it up to you. Woo. Yeah. Didn't the color needed one more application of the purple on the inside to really do what I wanted it to. So lesson learned there. Don't hate it. Actually, I think it's kind of cool. It looks like you guys can't really quite see it. I don't think. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a cloudy sky. Like it's got depth. It's got depth. So it's kind of neat when you look at it. Um, but I needed one more application of the purple to really like drive home what I was trying to do with it. But I'm actually really pleased for old I blew up in the kiln on the bisque fire. Uh, you know what? I even like the color that turned out. Little eyeballs didn't run too bad. So that black is not too suspect. We found that out. And then the little ta-da. So yeah, not too shabby. I was okay with that one. And then old cat face, because I like to paint. Of course, these are the ones I actually like to do. The ones that involve like getting in there. I like to do stuff like this. And then I like to do stuff like cat face here. So this one was fun. Uh and got in there and I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. I mean, I guess the blue body could be less stodgy, less uneven, but oh, cat face is pretty cute. I'm not exactly displeased. And the little ears, which are actually on there strong enough that you can like, you know, I believe in the things that I build. You can pick it up by the ears. But yeah, I was pretty okay with that one. And that blue turned out okay. Definitely could have used another, I mean, again, another layer. Could have used one more. And this blue on the outside could have too. It wouldn't hurt. Cat face. It's pretty cute. So there you go. That was the whole load. And I probably, if I had some smaller things, I could have fit a few more smaller things into it. There probably could have been a couple, but this dude was a bit on the tall side, so he took up some space. So that was a bit of space, and then this was a bit on the wide side, and so it took up some space as well. But that was kind of a load. And thank you very much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it and have a lovely, lovely evening. I'll see you next time at the studio above the clouds. Bye, guys.